Thank you for listening to my presentation. It is entitled Paying Attention, ADHD and the Beneficial Implementation of Principles of Learning and Cognition for PSY 620 Learning and Cognition. First, just to tell you a little bit about myself, my name is Teg Barclay. I currently live in Idaho with my husband and my cat. I achieved my Bachelor's of Science in Psychology from ISU back in 2020. I currently work as a bank teller, and right now I'm currently in the Master of Arts program for psychology at University of Arizona Global Campus. And now I'm going to jump into the content of my presentation. Developing a comprehensive understanding of cognition and learning principles can enable positive changes in promoting equitable environments for different populations, such as those who are diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. ADHD awareness is becoming more prevalent in our modern world, though the general population has much to learn about the condition. People with ADHD, such as myself, often struggle to keep up with their peers in academic, professional, and social environments. Providing tools for their success not only benefits them, but also the people around them, such as loved ones, educators, employers, and coworkers, who can also benefit from their contributions. By applying the learning and cognitive concepts, individuals with ADHD and those who interact with them can develop more productive behaviors in personal, professional, and broader cultural settings, ultimately contributing to a more equitable and understanding society. To start, I want to look at some personal applications for those with ADHD. In their personal lives, people with ADHD struggle with completing daily household tasks, scheduling events, and starting projects, among many other hurdles. Those with ADHD find it difficult to focus and often end up giving up on completing tasks altogether. Punishment received as children and students has discouraged people with ADHD from attempting perceived complex tasks. In social cognitive theory, operant conditioning refers to the process of modifying behavior through the use of punishment or reinforcement. Punishment is the method used to reduce certain behaviors, while reinforcement attempts to increase desired behaviors. Punishing for unwanted behavior tends to make ADHD symptoms worse. Alternatively, reinforcing desired behavior may be the more productive method of changing behavior. Morris et al. Found that those with ADHD are very responsive to reward conditions, and receiving reinforcement for completing specific behaviors significantly increased the frequency of those behaviors over those who receive punishment. While it may seem unnecessary to reward behavior that is considered baseline or the bare minimum, those with ADHD are much more likely to exhibit desired behaviors if presented with a reward for completing them, whether that is implemented through self-discipline individually or by a loved one at home. Those who have ADHD are often overwhelmed by distractions in their personal lives. Little blinking lights, noises and conversations in the distance, constant phone notifications, and innumerable other stimuli constantly hijack the attention of these individuals, hindering communication abilities, task completion, and working memory. Working memory, also known as short-term memory, refers to our thoughts regarding present sensations and stimuli, which enable us to quickly filter the information around us. Due to their proclivity to forget details, most people assume that people with ADHD have poor working memories. However, Lieb et al. Found that when placed in an environment devoid of distractions, such as the researcher's lab, people with ADHD perform just as well or better than the average person on working memory tasks. To help improve working memory for important tasks, creating a distraction-free environment, though easier said than done, could drastically improve personal outcomes. When trying to remember information for school, work, medical appointments, or other personal daily tasks, people with ADHD often struggle to retain vital chunks of lengthy information. Often the information is given orally, which is difficult to commit to long-term memory for those with ADHD. Additionally, when learning new content, it can be hard to engage with the subject at hand if there's no way to follow along visually. One way to aid in the retention of crucial information is to create a mind map about what has just been covered. A mind map is essentially a visual representation of presented information. This can take the form of charts, graphs, timelines, idea webs, etc. Hannon found that people with ADHD are visual learners, and they can remember up to 75% of information when presented visually and/or when they construct a visual aid themselves to help them remember it. Utilizing and encouraging the use of mind maps can help those with ADHD navigate important information in their personal lives. I'm now going to move on to several professional applications. Individuals with ADHD often feel like they have no say in how their job is performed. They must adhere to instructions from management and company policies, which can be challenging to follow if they are too rigid. To combat this, allowing people with ADHD to collaborate with management and have some agency in how their performance is measured could prove beneficial. Agency is a core tenet of social cognitive theory. Bandura attested that agency plays a significant part in learning and cognition, that we learn and grow when we have a tangible degree of control over our environment. Hochstead et al. Found that employees with ADHD struggle to balance workplace expectations with the necessary flexibility to complete tasks successfully in their own time and preferred methods and environments. These employees worked best when provided with one-on-one support from a trusted person who allowed them to determine their own route to achieve the company's desired outcome. Providing people with ADHD dependable resources to complete tasks in their own unique ways may not only improve the mental health of the diagnosed, but can also allow for creative solutions that benefit employers. Ask any person with ADHD and they will tell you that being assigned a task at work while actively trying to complete another one will reduce the likelihood of either activity being completed. Being told to remember a series of consecutive tasks is also difficult when focusing on one to complete it correctly. Having too much to think about can cause tasks to become jumbled and increase mistakes. The entirety of one's surrounding information is referred to as cognitive load, essentially the mental weight of the stimuli in an environment and the task of sifting through it for important details. Perhaps unsurprisingly, Fisher et al. Found that increasing cognitive load significantly reduced task performance in people with ADHD. Adding additional information to remember slowed down reaction times in the study's tasks. However, increasing the visual complexity of the stimuli, meaning increasing perceptual load, improved performance. In a work environment, assigning individuals with ADHD distinct tasks and providing visual reminders can help reduce cognitive load and enhance career performance. One would think that it would be encouraged to allow people with ADHD to thrive in their work setting, and in general terms that would be correct. However, in organizational psychology, the term thriving has a specific meaning distinct from its everyday usage. Thriving here refers to a state in which employees experience vitality, or feeling energized, and learning, which is the acquisition and application of new skills. Thriving is encouraged in the workplace because it improves employee outlook and increases production. Initially, this sounds beneficial to all employees, including those with ADHD. However, in a seemingly contradictory manner, people with ADHD struggle with thriving under this definition. Blondel et al. Found that a vicious cycle is created with this type of thriving. Firstly, a task done successfully creates a short boost of self-esteem, which then prompts the employee with ADHD to work excessively. This excessive workload leads to more tasks done, but eventually leads to burnout due to neglect of self-care. To truly thrive in the workplace, considerations must be made to employees with ADHD to keep them productive and satisfied with their work. I will now move on to wider societal applications. Outside of personal lives in the workplace, our society could benefit from understanding learning and cognition principles and applying them to our youth with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. From the way school and work are structured to conversational expectations, much of our cultural norms set up those with ADHD for failure. Kids with ADHD are constantly bombarded with ideas that they are not hardworking enough, intelligent enough, etc. Related to agency, self-efficacy refers to the set of beliefs one holds regarding one's perceived ability to influence life outcomes. Agency is the ability to make a choice. Self-efficacy is the belief that one's choices can matter. Increasing self-efficacy could be vital in improving the lives of people with ADHD. Atta et al. Found that a patient and understanding support system of peers, family, and teachers was crucial in building self-efficacy in adolescents with ADHD, which in turn reduced their stress levels significantly. Validation, encouragement, and reassurance were hallmarks of a strong social support network. This social support can strengthen the bonds between those with ADHD and their communities. Those with ADHD, myself included, are often misunderstood as careless, lazy, aloof, and immature due to our symptoms. This public perception can harm prospects in relationships, at work, and in school. Frustrations with ADHD behavior have led to a misunderstanding of motives. As previously referenced, short-term memory is the ability to sort through the stimuli of our surroundings to complete everyday tasks. When faced with a high cognitive load of distractions, desired behavior can fall through the cracks for people with ADHD, much to the chagrin of those around them. Interestingly, Report et al. Found that when instructed to recall a series of verbal cues, children with ADHD often rehearse the information just as much as their peers without the condition, suggesting that a lack of rehearsal is not the primary reason for the forgetfulness in the former group. Essentially, it is not for a lack of trying that those with ADHD struggle to live up to society's expectations. Affording some empathy can go a long way in better understanding attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Lastly, people with ADHD often have multiple mental disorders that can impede daily functions, and it is critical to know how the interactions and effects of multiple diagnoses can hinder cognitive ability. Due to childhood upbringing, societal stigma, and numerous other environmental and genetic factors, it is common for individuals with ADHD to also develop anxiety and depression. All three of these disorders can have detrimental outcomes on memory retention. Short-term memory is also known as working memory, and to reiterate, this refers to the process of cognition when we work through environmental information and forming initial thoughts about it all. Yang et al. Found that adults with ADHD performed poorer on recall performance and verbal learning tasks than neurotypical adults, which backs up previous research. However, they also found that those who had a comorbid condition like anxiety or depression, in addition to ADHD, performed even worse on the given memory tasks. This was evidenced by a jump from 9.4 to 15.5% of probable impairment in the ADHD-only group to 14.6 to 20, to 14.6 to 20.3% in the group with comorbid conditions. So you see an increase there. From this information, it is important to note two things: that we as a society need to do better by realizing the daily struggles attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and comorbid disorders cause, and second, being more empathetic to those who are diagnosed with them. Overall, having a working knowledge of the principles of learning and cognition is the first step in creating a more effective and equitable environment for individuals with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. The application of social cognitive ideas, such as creating schedules of reinforcement, removing distractions, or creating mind maps in our personal lives, providing more opportunities in our professions to encourage agency, reduce cognitive load, and thrive in the right ways, and offering social support in our communities to enhance self-efficacy, understanding of ADHD, and empathy in comorbid diagnoses can all have a significant impact on individuals who struggle to meet society's expectations. Understanding how people think and learn is vital to fostering communities that are better for everyone, not just those individuals who have ADHD like I do. Cooperation and camaraderie are possible if we make an effort. I want to thank you for listening and following along this presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to move along to my references now, just so you can see those. I appreciate your time again and want to thank you for everything you've done for us. Have a good one. Here's my first slide of references. Pause for just a moment. My second page. Second to last page. And this is my last slide of references. This will also be available in the PDF of the presentation, so you can look at them more in depth and follow along if you want to learn more about my resources. Thank you again, and I hope whoever sees this has a wonderful holiday break. Thanks.